Broadcasting from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
It's that time again. Yes, indeed. It's time for another episode of Shark Bite Biz. Once again, I'm your host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during a global pandemic. Today's discussion literally is just that. I have an amazing story from a small business owner, and this is a well-established business. It started, I guess, in the late 80s, and this woman ended up buying the business about 18 months ago. So think about this, okay? Nearly half the time she has owned the business, we have been in a global pandemic. Talk about trial by fire, right? We're going to dig in and learn about the experience of her buying the business and the changes and pivots she has had to make to survive. Remember, just bought it 18 months ago, just learning how to run the business, just getting in her groove, getting things stable with the new ownership, and bam, this happens, and she has to do things that she has never even thought of. But what the most saddest part is that she isn't even in the clear yet. I'm sorry, but I have to say this, and I want this on my intro video, and I ask my viewers, get this message out. Yes, I understand. I think everybody at this point knows we have a presidential election going on for Congress, Senate seats, all that stuff. But those people, while they're campaigning, they are still in office, and we really need our Congress and our president to step the heck up and help businesses like hers to survive. It is getting to the critical breaking point for so many businesses out there. And you got to remember, this isn't something that is her fault. She had made aggressive moves to stay afloat. This is something that she did not cause. It wasn't like, she mismanaged a business or anything. No, PPP is out of funds. The virus is still kicking around. I know our guest is not the only business owner facing these tough challenges right now. And, I really just want to thank her from the bottom of my heart to be so brave and have the courage to come on the camera on this podcast to explain her struggles, to tell the truth and not sugarcoat it. There are so many business owners out there feeling exactly how she feels. Exactly what's happening with her business, it's happening to her business, okay? And it's really cool because you can see she's extremely grounded. She isn't lying to herself. She is in control. She knows the situation, but she needs help. I mean, the government forced her business essentially out of business. They force so many other businesses out of business. I'm very passionate about this topic, and it has me fired up. There is no reason why we should be waiting for another round of stimulus for small businesses like hers. This is ridiculous. Stay tuned after this video as I got a very special thing I want to do for her. She was really nice to kind of hook us up with a code for our viewers, and I'll do that on my interview wrap-up segment after we get done chatting. I really want my viewers to share this video, and not only share, but support her business. They're not super expensive items. They are very economically priced. So who is today's guest? And forgive me, I chuckle because as you all know, I really stink at pronunciations, okay? So her name's good, but I'm gonna chop up the business name, so bear with me, please. Today's guest is Kiani Wong. She is the CEO and president of Kaka'ako Kasuals. That, you can all imagine, is a name that I was going to chop up, and I practiced it about 1,000,000 times. Ask my editor. And that is an Hawaii-based footwear company. The family-owned business has been locally run since 1988, and she acquired it about 18 months ago, currently making it a woman-run organization. So I'm going to shut the heck up. I know I had a lot to say in this intro video. Let's just bring Kiani on in here and let's hear her so personal story that I'm sure it's going to motivate you to help this family business stay around.
Business strategy.
Kiani, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. We are so thrilled to have you here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today, David.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. So I know you've watched the show. In fact, you even called out the episode with UPS with Betty on there, which is an awesome episode. You know how this goes. Very first question, softball question. What is your background? What is your experience? What makes Kiani Kiani?
Awesome. Yeah, well, like I said, thank you again for having me, David. So my name is Kiani Wong, and I am the CEO and president of Kaka'ako Kasuals, and we're a locally based, Hawaii-based footwear company, and we supply pretty much the entire island chain with what we call slippers. The rest of the world probably calls them sandals or flip-flops or thongs. But we call them slippers here in Hawaii. So we do that primarily with water shoes. So we provide pretty much all of the major stores like Target and Walmart, Ross, a couple of other local chains with slippers. So my background in particular is in business. I have my MBA, and I also have a background in purchasing and buying. So I've worked for small specialty stores, and I've worked for larger retailers, larger chain retailers, to plan assortments, merchandise, things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background. Yeah.
No, that's great, and it's quite impressive. So I've got to ask though, just because I know, even though you gave me the pronunciation, when I record the intro video, I'm gonna chop it up. So can you say the name of it one more time so that people will forgive me in the intro?
I don't know, David. I think you did a really good job with Kiani. A lot of people mispronounce that too. Exactly. Yeah. And so the pronunciation of the business is Kaka'ako Kasuals. There's a glottal stop in between two of the A's.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a that stop. So but Hawaiian words are really, really difficult.
Yeah, I noticed. And people think that because I'm fluent in Spanish, so in fact, in my household, little known fact, I speak Spanish here essentially all day, every day, except when I'm working. When I'm working,
that's amazing.
Doing the podcast, our whole house, it's Spanish. I mean, we have a very mixed household here. So people think that I would be good at pronouncing things because I speak two languages. Well, it's not true. I totally take that. And I have chopped up so many names and it's so unintentional. But I'm sorry, I had to go off on that tangent just to make sure that we get it
right. Absolutely. No problem.
Let's go into first the business, okay? You are the CEO and president, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to make sure you held the two positions. But with that, did you start the business or how did that evolve?
Yeah, so actually, this business has been around since 1988, but my family and I only bought the business about 1.5 years ago. So
you bought it. That's amazing. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing. It was quite the process. But about 2 years ago, the previous owners of the business approached my family and wanted to see if maybe we would have been interested in purchasing the business from them. They're ready to retire. They're in their mid to late 60s. They just kind of wanted to spend time with their grandkids. And they were looking for somebody to, purchase the business from them. So my family said, yeah, exactly. I mean, you work so hard at something for almost 30 years. you
Yeah.
want to make sure that, whoever's buying your business, the legacy is going to be continued in some sort of way.
Oh
So
yeah,
we were lucky
definitely.
enough that they thought of us when they were interested in selling. So that's
Yeah,
actually how we got
that's great.
started. Yeah.
That's really cool. So it is still a new business for you. And now
hmm
you said about how you sell the slippers in Hawaii. You're selling to some big box retailers, local retail. Do you do anything else in the main 48 states as well too, or is it just some e-commerce? How big's your footprint?
Yeah. So we actually, there are a
That
couple of
was a
our
pun.
customers that export.
Now
um,
you get it. Okay.
I got
All
it. Yeah,
right.
yeah. It took me a second, David. It took me a second. Um, it's a little bit early in Hawaii still. I think it's just barely 9 o'clock here. So
Yeah, yeah,
my
there
brain
you go.
takes a while to warm up. um, so yeah, the 48, we do some e-commerce. When we're talking about some of our retailers,
Mhm.
they actually we service several retailers who do business in Las Vegas,
Mhm.
and also some retailers who also export. So we are actually in Guam, and a couple of
Wow.
our retail partners, as well as Micronesia.
Okay.
So we have some Pacific and outside of the United States presence. But we do ship
Right.
internationally too, directly from our website. So um, if you were, say, in Australia or Canada or Japan, and on our website and wanted to buy something directly from us, that's very
Mhm.
possible.
Okay, okay. That's pretty cool. So you bought the business 18 months ago, and what a heck of a time to buy a business. Almost half the
Yeah,
time you've owned the business, we've been in a global pandemic. So,
it's
uh,
been insane.
can Can you tell us about that? I mean, just being a new business. I mean, you have a lot. You have an MBA. You're very experienced. You understand
hmm
purchasing, all that stuff. The financial sounds like you're a true whiz with it all. But it still has got to be a struggle of being a new business owner and then having all of this happening, even if it is an established business.
Yeah, exactly. And prior to this too, I mean, we've gone through some major ups and downs in the first year in business. I think no matter what type of business you are, the first year in business is always rough.
Oh yeah.
Um, but a lot of external factors that we were dealing with was the trade wars, the China trade wars, since we
Right.
import. And so that started to pick up steam within the first several months that we had taken over
Hmm.
the business. And so that was a struggle, to figure out how, okay, man, are we still going to source from China? Are we going to source elsewhere? What are we going to do? And how that's going to work for our business, just so that we can protect
Right.
our margins and protect our customers too. So that was a little bit of a difficult thing to
What did
navigate,
you
so
end
so
up
quick in.
doing? I mean, what was the answer that you've had?
So we were on the cusp of, so footwear was the last list to be implemented for tariff increases under the
Okay.
new Trade Act. Um, so we were about to be affected. I think the list was supposed to go live in like early December.
Okay.
And so we had everything prepped. We had like let our customers know that they were going to see some price increases. We were working directly with our supplier in China to reduce some of those costs,
Right.
to negotiate prices on their end,
Hmm.
um, so that we didn't really have to raise prices all that much. But we had communicated back and forth, and we had everything going. And then, President Trump had come out and said, actually, we're going to delay that indefinitely. So it was
Okay.
really a huge sigh of relief for us. We
Right.
had all the prep work done, but thankfully we didn't actually have to implement anything, since we were the last one to be
Right.
implemented in the first place. So it was really a huge sigh of collective relief on our end, like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Were you looking like at
So
other Asia countries, if you don't mind
yeah.
asking? Were you looking I mean, something that we've had as a topic on this show a few times was like the USMCA as far as the new NAFTA agreement. Manufacturing places like Mexico, Tijuana. Did any of that come into the thinking?
Yeah, so we did briefly consider Mexico from the new agreement, but
Hmm.
it really we really found that with our particular
Hmm.
product, there's such an advantage to still sourcing in Asia. So
Asia. Okay.
we had been looking at several other countries. We had been looking at Vietnam. We had been looking at, oh gosh, pretty much anywhere other than China. But at the end of the day, China has a huge amount of capabilities that
Right.
aren't as readily available in other countries just yet.
Right. Right.
And so
And that's
we
fine.
made the
I'm
decision to
I'm
stay. Yeah.
asking. Yeah, I'm mostly asking because
Hmm.
I think getting the thought process out there of people hearing, the discussions that you had with your people or in your mind
Sure.
about what to do. I mean, it's helping other people then make the decisions by getting those out. So getting that background of the thought process is pretty cool. Let's
Absolutely.
forward though a little bit to the current situation. In the one email you sent me, I believe you said that you're on your second lockdown. Are you still in a
Yeah,
second lockdown?
we are still in the second lockdown.
Oh, you
So
haven't even
that
made it
was,
to the third one yet.
I know, I know. I should definitely count my blessings for sure. Um, but yeah, the first lockdown happened, in early or middle March, I would say,
Right.
through June actually.
Hmm.
So late May, early June. And for the several months after that, we were open or semi-open in a
Right.
way. And Hawaii had instituted a 14-day travel quarantine back at the beginning of the
Hmm.
pandemic because
Right.
we really wanted to restrict incoming passengers and making sure that they weren't sick and
Right.
spreading the virus here. So that's been instated. It actually never left. So that's been in place
Right.
since March through now. And yeah, so we had reopened tentatively certain things. It was gradual. But then our cases really started spiking about a month ago,
Right.
a month and a half ago. So it was day after day of, huge amount of cases, especially for our small little tiny
Hmm.
island chain. I mean, it was really rough on us. So they, at the beginning of September, our government said, okay, we need to figure this out. And so we went into an initial 2 week lockdown, and they've extended it to 4. So the order is supposed to expire, I think, on the 24th, but we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see because it is definitely day by day at this
Yeah.
point. So, what kind of changes have you been forced to make to survive? I mean, it's a tough situation. You bought the business 18 months ago. You're in this. Obviously, your business is still kicking and doing good from what I can see. How
Yeah.
did you make that happen? What are you doing? What's the secret?
A lot of sleepless nights, David. um, I mean, I think anybody in this situation is trying their best to adapt to the whatever circumstance that we're in. And
Hmm.
it's been really difficult, I know, in a lot of local smaller businesses like ours. And so we found several different ways in order to really try to make sure that we're going to maintain our business throughout the pandemic. Um, a couple of things that we've done is we've offered flexible payment plans to our retailers.
Okay.
So a lot of our businesses or the people that we service
Hmm.
are smaller retailers. And so
Right.
that flexibility of, payment terms, things like that has made it a lot easier for them to say yes to us.
Is that
Um, you know,
something that you didn't offer before?
Well, no, we definitely offered payment, a payment structure
Hmm.
before, but we're much more flexible now.
Right. So you got a
Terms.
little more aggressive with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, we know that a lot of local businesses are hurting, and so extending, the payment terms out a little bit longer than we normally would have, um, just so we can take care of our customers too, because that's really important to us.
And
So
that's a really
yeah.
good point you just made right there about taking care of the customer as well too. Making sure that
Mhm.
your customer realizes that you're not just there to sell them or give that, make a quick buck. That you're actually looking at a long-term partnership with them because you're kind of in this together for a degree. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And in Hawaii, the majority of businesses are small local businesses. I think
Right.
per capita, we have one of the highest small business rates, in the country, because
Wow.
cost of living is so high here. And people are really, it sometimes can be a struggle to get by here. So we're all a very small community. We all know each other.
Right.
Whether we've done business together before, or we've worked for one of these companies, you're really in Hawaii, your auntie, your uncle, your cousin works for one of these companies.
Right.
They work for your business. And so it's really a reciprocal. We want to take care of our customers, and we want them
Hmm.
to in turn think of us when they have something coming up. So it's
Has
it's
that
really it's that balance.
has it made it harder for your business as well then too? I mean, offering terms to customers or being more flexible. I mean, did that give you any cash flow issues at all?
Sure. I mean, whenever you deal with terms and whenever you extended that out a little bit further, it does cause cash flow issues. We were lucky enough to where we were able to get a PPP loan and the idle loan,
Right.
early on in the pandemic. And so cash flow issues haven't been a huge issue until right about now, actually.
Okay.
Since we had a little bit of capital to play with, it wasn't as tight. Obviously we were watching everything very closely, but we were able to benefit from some of those programs. So we wanted to take care of our
Right.
customers, and so
Yeah.
we don't want to take advantage of that situation.
You know, one of my biggest pet peeves with the PPP program or the CARES Act is all these businesses had to close and they gave companies the money for what, like 3 months of payroll or something like that with
Hmm.
those terms. But I think, and maybe this is just probably Washington being Washington in a bubble that they are, they don't think, well, what about these companies when they can fully open, having the capital to ramp back up to capacity? Because having
Hmm.
money to pay your employees is one thing, but if you don't have the funds anymore to buy products, that's a whole
Hmm.
nother can of worms. I don't think Washington took that into consideration at all.
Yeah, it seems like so much more, especially now, that now that we're in mid-September and we've been hoping for,
Hmm.
I mean, not expecting, but hoping for a second round of some sort of stimulus money. Um, so many small businesses like ours have been really just crossing our fingers, trying to
Right.
make sure that we can see it through. And the situation in Washington really doesn't give me thought. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence that a lot
Yeah.
of these people who are making our laws, and are responsible for these kinds of things, are really serving our best interests. Because
I
either they don't know,
totally agree.
yeah, and it's such a bummer because, I see my favorite restaurants are going out of business. My local
Yeah.
restaurants are going out of business. My favorite retailers are doing the same too. People and businesses who have been, older than ours, older than 1988,
Mhm.
just having such a rough
Closing down.
time. And yeah, because there are so many restrictions on business, and there's not a lot of help. And there's only so many things you can do as a business to stay afloat. I mean, it's
Right.
none of this is it's a permanent situation. So it's really balancing, okay, well, what can we
You can
change and
only
what can we
take
not change?
you can only take from the right hand and put it in the left hand so many times before there's nothing
Hmm.
left in the right hand to give to the left hand. And I
Exactly.
think that's a situation we're getting into now. I've heard, some rumors that maybe some sort of deal was brokered over this past weekend or whatever, but hopefully by the time that this episode publishes, there'll be something out there that'll help all the businesses just like you all. And I think that's an important story, having
Mhm.
business owners like you out there and speaking out like, hey, look, this is where the first CARES Act missed the mark, okay? This is how you can fix it. I really think, the voices need to rise up and just get louder so that they can hear us and they can
Mhm.
support people like you. Because I think it's ridiculous that you could be put into the position where over something like this, where you're being mandated to close, that you could end up closing permanently.
Sure, yeah. And it's yeah, it's such a rough situation because, I understand the need for it. I mean, we
Yeah.
we understand the need to protect people and to keep people safe.
Yep.
Um, but with Hawaii being such a tourism-driven
Right.
economy here, I mean, once you cut the head off of tourism locally, it was such a huge blow to so many local businesses. A lot of
Yeah.
local businesses rely on that. Our hotel industry is large, our restaurant industry is large, and it's
Hmm.
primarily, well, not primarily, but a lot of that is owed to tourism. And
Oh yeah.
so, shutting that off for us since March has been really, really a kill to a blow to our local economy. And,
With your
it,
slippers, how much of your
yeah,
business is actually dependent upon tourism? Are you more for the local people and the occasional tourist, or how do you view it?
yeah. So originally, when the company was started, it was 100% tourism based. It was
Okay.
mostly in tourism locations, retailers who catered directly to tourism. Over the last year and a half, we had slowly started to evolve that a little bit and
Hmm.
really hone in on the local customer and try to get them more interested in our product. We advertise locally in our local papers, so through social media locally to get our name out there. And so
Okay.
we've really started to see kind of a shift
Hmm.
in our customer base. But I mean, primarily, I would still say it was maybe 75 to 80% tourism based. And
Oh
so that's
wow.
reflected in our sales numbers. So,
Hmm.
during the last 6 months, our sales numbers have really, really taken a nosedive. And it's because of that. So we've really had to try to find other ways to get out there with our existing customers, um,
Hmm.
and really evaluate our business as a whole.
Yeah, that's see, you must have the list of all my questions in front of you, it seems like, because that was going to be my next question. No,
Yeah.
but did you use the past, I don't know how long it's been, let's just say 6 months, the past six
Mhm.
months or so, did you use that to reevaluate how you run your business, how you target people, your marketing, your branding? How have you used that extra time?
1,000%. I mean, I think if you're in the situation and you're not evaluating that, I think you're on the wrong track. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think that, if you're not trying to evaluate your situation, especially if you're in my position on a
Hmm.
on a really a regular basis, it your business isn't going to do very well for very long.
Yeah.
And because
And that's
situations
really,
change
again,
all
I
the
want to
time.
reiterate, just that's got to be tough for you because you're starting to reevaluate how you do things and it's a brand new business to you. So that's
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here we go. Virtual
What?
fist bump.
There you go.
There you go.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
No problem.
Yeah. So we did a number of things. Some things that I can sort of speak to right now. Some
Hmm.
things that are projects that we're currently working on for the future. But yeah, I mean, we looked at every aspect of our business. Are our systems set up right? Do we need to invest in other systems that we're not investing in? Because now would be a great time to implement them if we haven't
Yeah.
before.
Oh,
Um,
what are you implementing?
yeah.
What kind of
So
changes have you made?
we So specifically, we've finally finished implementing our inventory management system.
Okay.
So that was huge for us because
Hmm.
the previous owners of the business kind of had a good idea of their inventory, but it was never exact. But now that we've been selling e-commerce, we've been going online, we've
Right.
been on internet marketplaces like eBay and Amazon, things
Hmm.
like that. We need to manage our
Omni-channel is
inventory
all the
between,
rave.
yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, when we're talking about fulfilling our wholesale customers, their business needs too, it's just, we have all of these different components. So we needed a solution that was going to really, really give us an advantage going forward. And so we implemented a new inventory system that was really successful for us.
Okay.
It partners in our EDI connections with some of them, our major retailers, which was key for us because we were spending so
Yep.
much time every week doing these things. And the pandemic really accelerated that process. So that was something that we did
Yep. Yep.
internally.
A-
Yeah.
And I think that's, really important story, as our regular viewers know for my day job, where I run the Northeast region for Vision 33. And that's the
Hmm.
one thing that we specialize in is with SAP Business One. We have the solution that really it's for people just like like maybe they're doing things in inventory, they have EDI, they have e-commerce, and you really need that central nervous system, something that
Hmm.
ties everything together into one location. And otherwise you're going to be doing double data entry. You're going to have errors with data silos. You're going to have wrong inventory counts. Your finances are going to be
Hmm.
off. And having that just really simplifies your life. Plus, now when you're making a decision and you're looking at inventory levels and stuff, you're able to make decision off reliable data that is
Hmm.
presumably somewhat live, right?
Exactly. And that was one of the issues before when we first bought the business is I had no idea what sales were like for the past few years, other than a
Ooh.
giant number. So I had a macro view, but I didn't know what styles sold better over others,
Hmm.
except for anecdotal evidence. I didn't actually have data. And me having a buying background, not having data
Hmm.
to really sink my teeth into was really scary for me at first because I knew certain things sold, I knew certain things didn't, but not
Right.
having that data in front of me to confirm that and to really see trends, it was
Hmm.
it was so difficult. And so now that we've implemented this system, we have
Right.
all that information, so I don't have to guess. That's really exciting for me.
Oh,
In this situation, yeah.
yeah, I mean see, a lot of people, and I deal with this all the time. I specialize in working with people like you. This is what I am a subject matter expert in, and it's business process
Hmm.
automation. Okay, as
Hmm.
far as doing exactly what you're talking about and having that visibility, that automation. That way, you don't have to, fill out 15 different spreadsheets. It's already
It's
done for you.
insane.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that
Hmm.
amazing? Now, so it sounds like that you've essentially kind of digitally transformed your business that during this time. You think that's accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we had a lot of these processes starting to kind of be in the works prior to the pandemic, but we've really accelerated a whole bunch of stuff. We started selling on eBay. We set up an Amazon account. We had already gotten our e-commerce, our website set up,
Hmm.
but we dramatically improved the amount of online advertising that we were doing. I mean, we really, really did have to digitize because that was where most of our sales were for several months was online. Without that, we wouldn't
Right.
have any cash flow. So we need that.
Right.
It's really
Have you
important for us.
seen have you seen the trend with the e-commerce and stuff like that starting to go up? Like, are you starting to see an ROI on everything that you've done?
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see that because for a while we weren't sure how well e-commerce was doing. I think as a
Hmm.
whole, for especially for our category, it's such a competitive. I mean, shoes,
Right.
accessories, any kind of thing like that is so competitive online, and so we really had to start to brand ourselves as something special and unique to Hawaii when we first started
Oh
doing
yeah.
business and had kept doing that, and we knew eventually it would start to pay off. But I mean, there's a huge surge in people who are shopping primarily or only online. And so we knew that we were this was going to be a long-term trend, and we had to get in on that as quickly as we could.
Yeah. So from what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you've made a number of pivots now. Who you
Hmm.
sell to, terms, technology. You've done a lot of cool stuff to position your brand to survive this, but you're
Hmm.
just not there yet. But it sounds like you're on your
Yeah.
way.
A lot of other places haven't had a second shutdown,
Right.
where we're completely cut off from commerce, and so we're in the second one. Our situation here is a little bit different than the rest of the country, just because we are
Right.
so tourism and
And you're so
visitor
far away
oriented.
too. I mean, it's not like you can
Yeah.
just drive across state lines like Philly to Wilmington, Delaware, and you're in another state, another set of rules. And you maybe
Hmm.
can do some things out there that you can't do in Philly. You can't do that in
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Up until this past weekend, the beaches were closed too,
Wow.
during the second shutdown. So we couldn't even go to the beach. And
Hmm.
for this second 2 week, it's supposed to be where you can go to the beach alone. So you can, I mean, like when I say there's a lot of restriction in Hawaii right now, I think
Hmm.
it's probably one of the most restricted in the country for what you can and
Right.
cannot do. Retailers are closed. Non-essential
Right.
retailers are closed again. So that means all of our shopping malls, all of our small businesses. Really,
Hmm.
the only retailers who are open are Walmart and Target and Ross, and a couple of other big ones. But anybody else is closed.
That's a whole nother topic we can
Oh
discuss
yeah, oh
offline.
yeah, for
That does
sure.
that does drive me a little bit nuts that they're so open, but yet the people that really need it, companies
Hmm.
like yours, they're kind of put in a different category. And again, I think it's just that bubble that some of our leaders live in, that they don't really actually realize. You're helping big box out more than you are with mom and pops.
Hmm.
But we won't broach the political topic of that here. But
Exactly,
uh,
hands off.
yeah, heads up, heads up. I'm trying not to get demonetized. So,
For
uh,
sure.
so yeah, yeah. So, what's the biggest thing that you feel that you still have to do yet in, with the global pandemic going on in order to do a final pivot? Do you think you've done everything and
Yeah.
it just kind of let's see the result, or do you still think that there's a big piece of the puzzle missing for you?
Um, I don't feel like there's a big piece of the puzzle missing. I think we've done a lot in order to, pivot our business into the future. But I think there are a couple of things, smaller things that we're experimenting with now. We just ordered some net gaiters, like
Right.
the balaclavas, yeah, like
Yeah.
sort of thing, to see if that would might be a new product that we
Hmm.
can bring in for our customers that they would appreciate. And so we're trying little things like that now in order to get maybe see if a different product assortment is the right way to go. So that's going into the future. And so
You,
we've
you
just
know,
recently started to do that.
that's great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
great. I think now is the time to experiment. One thing that we've had plenty of experts on this show. One episode that you may like would be Lisa Anderson, who is just a specialist manufacturing, distribution, supply chains, logistics, all that stuff. And
Hmm.
when you're checking out the new things, just keep in mind too, most of the data that you have, even in your brand banking new system that you're using, the past
Hmm.
trends, the past history, stuff like that. I mean, it's not really relevant for these times. So
Yeah,
right
it's
now is the
crazy.
perfect time to set new trends and, set new things like checking out the neck gaiters and stuff like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. I think a lot of retailers and a lot of small businesses like ours have found in these times that there are things that they didn't even think of that
Hmm.
that fit well with their product assortment that are very popular right now.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, shoot, do we need to like completely change our business model and completely pivot everything? And I think there's such a great amount of groundwork already here to completely just discard that
Right.
would be really a disservice to the business. So finding that, okay, this product is good with our particular assortment and not just completely, forgetting about all of the work that we've done before
Hmm.
is really important. But exploring new paths, exactly. New ways of
Yeah,
selling,
that's
new ways
great.
of thinking about your business. Yeah, there's just so much.
Okay, so we do got to start getting wrapped up. I guess I have three questions that I do want to ask. Let's. I guess we could do lightning round. Okay,
Okay,
let's do a
okay.
lightning round of questions. First one is going to be: your business is not only just a family business, but it's a woman-owned and run business, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You think that, I mean, that's empowering. That's really cool. And, it's pretty awesome. How many women do you have working for your business?
In management, all three of us are women. My
All
director of
perfect.
marketing, yeah, my director of marketing is a woman. My director of operations is a woman. Most of our sales reps that go out into our communities and our retailers are women.
Hmm.
We do have some hardworking, amazing men that work for our business as well. But in positions of management, we are all women, and it's been an amazing time because we get along so well. We work together very well.
Hmm.
We problem solve very quickly, and I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in other businesses, but
Right.
us being a family-run, women-owned business, we understand each other, I think, on a different level, and especially being so close and such a small group, um,
Hmm.
all of the pieces really fit together very well, and we all understand our role and our business as a whole. And so that coupled with just the camaraderie and the ability to work so closely with other extraordinary women is one of my favorite things about this business. I get to come to work every day, and it's an empowering feeling.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats on that. Just having that, that feeling, that environment. I mean, with you being the CEO and president, it starts from the top down, and it
Hmm.
sounds like that you have the team around you that really allows you to excel at your business.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I am
yeah.
100% thankful for them.
No, that's great. I guess the next question is, what advice do you have, knowing the pitfalls and the tests that we've all faced the last couple of months? There's, for every one of you that have put in all these moves, there's probably about 10 other businesses that are really out there struggling. What word of
Mhm.
advice do you have for those owners out there?
I think it took me a while to get this too, I think. And I think that piece of advice would be to accept the situation that you're in.
Hmm.
Um, for so long, I think for the first couple of months during this pandemic, I was really, trying to fight back against the situation.
Hmm.
Like, no, this can't be. Let's figure this out, and pushing back on every which way. And I think by accepting and understanding this reality that we found ourselves in has really opened up a lot of doors that I didn't expect
Right.
to walk through. And so if I had been constantly worried about pushing back against this external thing, it would have taken me a lot longer. So accepting the reality for what it is really, really important, because then you can start to see, okay, maybe we need to try this new product assortment, or maybe we need to think about rebranding instead, because this
Yeah.
pandemic has changed our lives forever. And so even if we're not in the pandemic, the height of the pandemic like we are now, eventually, it'll start to return to somewhat of a normal, or somewhat
Right.
of a baseline. And so that baseline,
Maybe
is going to be
the
very
new
different.
norm.
Yeah. And so the baseline is going to be very different from what it was at the beginning of the year. So finding your way, finding your comfort in this, and accepting the reality as it is, I think has been the biggest piece of internally, something internally that I've been able to help with the situation.
Yeah, I think
It's reduced my
that's
anxiety a lot.
very true. Anyways, let's end on a positive note now.
Awesome.
How can people reach out to you?
Awesome. So you can follow our business on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's at Kaka'ako Kasuals. And David, will you put a link to
Yes.
our little, okay?
It will be
Yeah.
in the description, whether you're on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, it's everywhere.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, and then you can find us on our website. It's www.kakaakokasuals.com. And you can also follow me personally on Instagram. I have a business page for myself, and my is Kiani.Wong.
Okay, perfect. I will start following you today.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you.
David.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on here. I think we talked about a lot of different topics. We crammed a lot into this 40-minute interview.
I know, for sure.
So we covered a lot. I hope this really helped our listeners out there. Thank you so much for coming on. And if you don't mind, 6 months from now, I'd love for you to come back on so we can talk about the progress between this interview and that time in the future.
Awesome. I'd love to, David. Thank you so much again for having me.
Oh,
It's been
no
a really
problem.
fun experience. I love talking about my business, and
That's
spreading
great.
the
It
love
shows.
around. Yeah,
That's
I'm
definitely
very passionate about it. So thank you so
perfect.
much again.
That was absolutely amazing. Kiani really gave us some incredible insights. I mean, I really, really loved talking with her. When I started this show, the goal was to have about 20-minute interviews. And as you may have noticed, most episodes are way past that mark anymore. Why is that? Well, this is a perfect example why, because it happens when I'm having such an engaging discussion with people like Kiani. The conversation just has so many twists and turns that it really kind of engulfs me. And I think what they are sharing is actually critical to the development of other businesses and managers out there. I think this intel, as I call it, can hopefully spark some ideas and give you something that you can get out of it. So, like this interview, I kind of let it go on so that I could try and give my audience the most while these people, these incredible people, tell their stories. I also hope that talking with me as we kind of talk through these items and stuff like that, I'm kind of giving them a confirmation of what other experts have told me. And maybe I'm even sparking some ideas with them that can really kind of help them with some of these topics we discussed. So look at all the pivots she has made to stay afloat. She started offering flexible payment terms to their customers, started to offering some new products, really trying just to revamp the brand for today's reality. She started doing a lot more e-commerce, online ads, as well as even offering private labeling. I mean, her and her team have really taken all of the right steps. I mean, you really can't ask for much more than what she's already doing. For somebody that was forced into this position due to circumstances that are really beyond her control, it sounds like she really did all she could to find success. So I've checked out their products. They're very, very economically priced, extremely reasonable, and they look fabulous. I usually don't do this on my show. I tell all my guests, hey, look, I know you represent business. I know you are a business, whatever it may be, but I'm bringing you on to talk about you. I'm bringing you on to talk about your experience, okay? Yes, use your business as a reference. Tell your story. Tell the story about how your business helps people. But this isn't an advertisement for your business. People want to hear your expertise. They don't really want to hear you pitching them business on the podcast. I'm going to make an exception for this rule. And that's because my heart really goes out to her and everything she's doing, the situation she did. I mean, she made a smart move buying the business 18 months ago. Can't help that half the time she's owned the business, we're in a pandemic. So she gave me a discount code for you all to use. It is SharkBite25, all capitalized and one word. So SharkBite 25. And I'm going to put that in the description and on the website. That'll all be there. You'll be able to find it. Do me a favor. I am asking my community here at Shark Bite Biz. Let's help this business make it through this tough time. And let's just be conscious of all the other businesses out there that are doing the right thing, but still struggling. Let's give them a hand, especially a situation like this. So normally, since I've got my own merch store, I've been plugging my merchandise and every episode because we have some really kick butt stuff. But I'm not going to do that today. I'd rather you go to Kiani's store. And again, we'll have the link in the description there. Go visit her place. Instead of buying a coffee mug or like this brand new t-shirt that I have from the Shark Bite Biz store, go visit Kiani's store, take a look, help them out. Let's help them survive and grab something from her today. So for today's discussion point, here in Kiani's story, what do you think that she can do to stay afloat until things get to the new normal? Let's discuss. Leave a comment down below and let's see what kind of ideas we can get. As always, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share the video. We really count on all of you to grow our community, to help business owners just like Kiani learn about all these little different tips and help them evolve as a person, as a professional, and help their businesses. Thank you all for watching this, and remember, I'm David Strausser, this is Shark Bite Biz, and we'll see you next episode.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.